What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you all tonight? And welcome back to another episode of Phenomenal Views. I am, of course, Nick Smith, and as you know, in 7 days, we will be getting, after, came out in 2000, I want to say 2002, we got Jurassic Park 3. Now, ever since, I have been excited for a 4th Jurassic Park movie, and there has been many different talks about what they're going to do. So, we finally have Jurassic World, which is coming out this Thursday. So, this is me going through the other 2 Jurassic Park movies that I have not reviewed. For those who have wondered, I have reviewed the first Jurassic Park movie. That was part of Cinetober. If you would like, I will put the links to both of those videos in the description box below. So, a lot of people do not actually like the sequel of The Lost World. And, for instance, people like Nostalgia Critic said that it was one of the worst sequels ever. But after watching a review from Chris Stuckman, I went and watched the movie back myself. And I have actually never hated The Lost World. It's not been my favorite Jurassic Park movie, but it's certainly not, I don't hate it. I certainly don't hate it. But before I even start this review, I'm just going to say that there are going to be some comparisons to the book, but I'm not downgrading Steven Spielberg for not having certain things in the book. But we will see. Now, one thing that was interesting about the movie is, for those who have watched it, or for those who have not watched it, the movie starts actually from the beginning of or somewhere from the first book. A rich family goes onto the island of Isla Sorna, which is Site B. They stumble across there, and they're a rich family. Their daughter finds compies and gets attacked. That is from the first book, where a man was with his family, and their daughter was attacked by a compy. So, with this movie has a lot of, I want to say, it has a lot of suspenseful moments, but it also has a lot of things that you know what happens, you just don't see it. For example, actually in the beginning of the film, when the girl is getting attacked by the compies, you don't see it. And when the mother comes and sees her daughter screaming, and she throws her arms up and screams, and as we are introduced to Ian Malcolm, it takes us to, you know what happens, you just don't see it. You don't need to see a bunch of blood and gore just to get a point across. They didn't have to show, but the fact of the matter is that Steven Spielberg knew he didn't have to show the girl that got eaten. He showed us the girl, he showed that the compies were attacking her, but they didn't show us what happened. And they didn't need to. We knew what happened. So, in this, we are introduced to Ian Malcolm once again from the first film, and we are actually introduced to the kids from the first film, and like from the book, it actually talks about what happens to it doesn't talk about it, but it shows us the kids are a little bit older, they're grown up, and Ian is going to see John Hammond, and we come to find out that apparently Ian Malcolm signed some kind of papers saying that he would not say anything about what was on the island, but he did anyway. So now, because of the incident that has happened on Isla Sorna, InGen has been taken over, or the leadership of InGen is no longer with John Hammond. It is with his nephew, which I can never honestly remember his name. I couldn't care less. For those who are wondering, who this character is actually supposed to be, he is actually supposed to be Dodgson. Now, I did make some points when I was watching the movie. In the first movie and in the first book, Dodgson has a big part in the film and in the book. I mean, he's mentioned more in the book than he is in the movie, but still, they showed us Dodgson, and they showed us with the whole entire thing with the egg embryos and with Dennis Nedry working for him and trying to bring back the embryos so he could make his own version of Jurassic Park. And there's only like a few letdowns for me in this movie, and that was one of them. The fact that they did not bring back Dodgson because of how they set him up in the first film. And in the book, he is the villain in the first film. Now, something else. They actually combined him with 3 characters. they spread out Doxson's character through John Hammond's uncle, Roland, who is the hunter in this movie, and this guy named Dieter, who gets attacked by compies. That happens to him in the book. That happens to Doxson in the book. Doxson is the one who is still trying to make a Jurassic Park. So when he finds out that Ian Malcolm and them are going to Isla Sorna, he makes it his own mission to go, and that's how he gets on the island, and that's how Sarah gets on the island. But I don't have a problem. That's the only problem I really have with that, is that Doxson is not in this movie when he should have been. They set him up to be the villain in the next film, and they didn't. So, okay, moving on. So, they are wanting to carry out the plan that InGen was originally going to do, or the people that Doxson worked for. They're still wanting to make their own version of Jurassic Park. So what they're going to do is they're going to go to Isla Sorna and take animals from the island, bring them back to San Diego, and make their own Jurassic Park. Now, in this movie, John Hammond is wanting Ian to go with this group of people that he has to go and take pictures of how things are progressing on the island, pretty much, so he can show them to InGen, so he can get control of it back, and so he can keep man from going and disturbing the island than it already has been disturbed. But Ian decides to go when he finds out that his girlfriend, Sarah Harding, which I don't have a problem that him and Sarah are in a relationship. They do have good chemistry with one another. I personally think that. Like, it's pretty much with Ian he knows Jurassic Park is dangerous. He doesn't want anyone to go near it. And it's kind of like how he is in the second book. He doesn't want anything to do with Jurassic Park. He's done with it. It's over. He knows it's dangerous, and he doesn't think anyone should fiddle with it. So when he finds out that Sarah is on the island herself, he makes it his mission. He's like, okay, I'm going to go, but I'm only going to go to get Sarah back. Now, they do talk about Sarah's background and how she has handled animals before she went to Isla Sorna. So I thought that was good for Sarah. And now a lot of people give Julia more crap about her role in this movie, and I personally think she does fine. Guys, give her some credit. And I know that a lot of people are probably upset because she played Clarice and Hannibal, and she didn't do as great of a job. But give her a break. She does a good job in this movie. So we are then introduced to all the other people. We are introduced to Eddie. We are introduced to Nick Van Owen, who is played by Vince Vaughn. And I think he's okay in this film as well. And we're introduced to Kelly. Now, the fact that Kelly is Ian's daughter, that's fine. I didn't really have a problem with it. But I do think that they took away a lot of her characteristics that made her such a good character. Like, I don't know, it just kind of seemed like they cheapened the character a little bit. Like, Ian talks about like all her accomplishments. He's like, you're smart, you're funny, you're beautiful, you're powerful. And I just think that they could have done a little bit more with her backstory, because they have a lot of info in the book. And I think that if they had just added a little bit more, it would have been fine. But other than that, it is fine. She's wanting to go with him to Isla Sorna. He says no, of course, because, smart. And so she sneaks on the island, of course, but when they get on the island, one thing that I am impressed with, they actually make the vehicles silent. Like, you never hear the vehicles make a noise. Now, when they are on their way to the island, this Spanish person who is also in the book, he is pretty much saying, look, I'll drop you all off, but I'm not staying here. I know what happens here. I ain't staying. And that's another thing that I like that Steven Spielberg did with this. They talk about how dangerous the island is with the beginning scene and with this. With them on the island, or with them going there, and he's like, look, I will take you here, but I will not stay here. I have heard stories of people who have went here and who have disappeared and never come back. And Steven Spielberg, throughout this whole movie, talks about, he really, in my mind, in my opinion, he captures the dangers of the island, of how this island is untouched by man and it is dangerous. There are dinosaurs. It does not need to be touched. And I personally liked that. So, of course, when they get there, they're looking for Sarah, and they find her. The animatronics in this movie look phenomenal. They looked as good as they did in the first film. And Steven Spielberg was also able to capture Steven Spielberg was able to capture not only how dangerous the island is, but also that the dinosaurs are loving and nurturing parents, and just how beautiful these creatures are. Because when Sarah is taking pictures of a baby Stegosaurus, when she's touching it, she's amazed. And when she starts scaring the thing by a camera, it roars for its parents, and the parents come to its defense. And I like that in this movie, it doesn't just show us that dinosaurs are dangerous. It shows us that they are caring and loving and nurturing parents. And that was actually a point that is proven in the book as well as the movie, and I thought it was done tremendously well. And, of course, one thing is, with Ian being in Jurassic Park before, he knows how it all is. So, like, when everyone sees the dinosaurs for the first time, they're like, oh my goodness, oh gosh, this is so amazing. Ian's like, ooh, yeah, that's how it always starts. But later there's running, and then screaming. And it's him pretty much just saying, look, guys, I've been through this before. It's amazing at first, but it's going to bite you in the butt. And it does. So, of course, when they're there, Sarah is basically trying to argue with Ian. Ian's wanting her to come back, but she's like, look, I'm not afraid of this place. I know you are. I'll be back in a couple days. And just, let me do what I do. And so then we are approached by InGen. Now, here's another point that I hated that they didn't do really well, is when they're looking at the choppers and they say, it says InGen on the side of that chopper, why would Hammond send 2 teams? Ian Malcolm talked to John Hammond a couple days ago, and he didn't say to them, yeah, John Hammond doesn't run InGen anymore. And of course, though, they would have known that, and I guess I just feel like it kind of just didn't really make any... They should have known, and they didn't. So when they get there, they see everything that they're trying to do. They're trying to set up... They're trying to capture the animals, make a recording about how, we're going to be using the old facility that John Hammond wanted to use for Jurassic Park, and they break all the animals out free, and they run amok. Of course. Now... Earlier when I said that they had Dachshund split up into 3 characters, in the book, Dachshund breaks the T-Rex's leg. However, here, because Roland is promised that he can hunt a T-Rex, he breaks the baby Tyrannosaurus's leg to get the parents' attention so he can hunt one. And so, with this, when they're setting all the dinosaurs free, Nick finds the baby Tyrannosaurus and gives it to Sarah. They take it back to the trailer, and of course this scares Kelly. Now, on one hand, Kelly did get scared in the book, but she was also kind of a strong character, and also the fact that they didn't have Arby in the movie, I kind of feel like, because Arby was kind of like Kelly's partner in crime. She was always trying to get him to step outside his safe zone and try to do things a little bit different. And it's because of Arby in the book that they're able to find Isla Sorna. But I guess because John Hammond is alive, he gives them a map, But, Kelly is an okay character. But, of course, she's wanting to get in the high hide. And, she's all freaking out. And once again, Steven Spielberg captures how scary and dangerous this place is. And she's all crying. She's like, I never should have came with you. I'm so stupid. You're just trying to make me feel better. I remember everything you told me. And then the T-Rexes roar, and this was my reaction. Mommy is pissed. So now we get the first suspenseful scene of the T-Rex hitting the trailer, coming after the baby. And, when they're in the trailer, now the difference is between the character of Sarah Harding in the book and Sarah Harding in the movie. Sarah Harding is a little bit smarter in the movie, because in the book, when the T-Rexes are attacking the trailer, she's like, what do you think they're here for? in the movie, she's like, this isn't hunting behavior, Ian. They've come for their infant. Well done. You're smart. Now, if a lot of people are confused on why the T-Rexes are attacking the trailer, it's because they pretty much feel like that's their territory. So now, and if people are confused, well, why did the T-Rexes go away for a little bit and come back? They took their child back and then came to eliminate the threat because they didn't want their child in danger. So, of course, Eddie is trying to save them, and Eddie, unfortunately, gets killed by the T-Rex. Now, I want to talk about a suspenseful scene. When the trailers are going over the cliff, Sarah falls and hits the glass. And the glass doesn't break. But this moment I would have to call Hitchcockian. Now, what I mean about this is Alfred Hitchcock said there's nothing scary about a bomb going off. What's scary is about people near a table, the bomb under the table, and you have no idea when it's going to go off. This scene, you know the glass is breaking, but you don't know when it's going to, and you're filled with suspense. You're like, oh my gosh, don't move, you could die. And the glass does break and the trailer goes off. And this is where the team runs into Roland and all them, and they make it their mission to basically go to the radio tower so they can radio for help and get off the island. Now, with all this, earlier on in the film, someone used a taser on a compy because he felt like that it should fear man, and it doesn't. So, sorry, I ran out of breath. He feels like these dinosaurs should fear man, so he shocks it. And earlier on in the film, when they're taking a break, the compies attack him. This happened to Dodgson, and it didn't kill him, but I was satisfied with this guy's death. So, after all this, they decide they're going to go and search for him. While this is going on, everyone is sleeping after everything that's happened. Now, we get another suspenseful scene with the T-Rex. Now, some people probably are complaining, or probably asking, well, Nick, explain to us how the T-Rex operates by smell in this one instead of being seen. Well, it doesn't really describe it. In the book, I'd have to go back and read, but from what I gathered up on some information about the book, they said that its brain was like a frog, and if it's not hungry, it's not going to eat you. So, for all we know, the T-Rex wasn't hungry at that time and didn't want to kill Dr. Grant and Lex. I don't know. But there are some things in this movie that are not explained very well that are explained in the book. So, we get a chase scene from the Tyrannosaurus, and while this is going on, Roland decides he's going to take down one of the T-Rexes. And he does. And when he does this, everyone is screaming and yelping, or screaming for help. While this is going on, Ian and all of them are trying to get to the radio tower. Now, the raptor scene is a lot of... there's one scene in this movie where Kelly does her gymnastics, and that's the only scene I did not like in this movie. Well, that and the San Diego ending. So they get away from the raptors and they leave the island. But I feel like it was too easy. I don't know, maybe they should have had pterodactyls attack them or something. There has been discussions that was a deleted scene. So, of course, we get the whole San Diego scene. The T-Rex escapes and runs through San Diego. They're able to... I find it hilarious that the T-Rex ate everyone on the boat, but left someone's hand. So, of course, they go to the facility where the infant is being held, and they use it to get the T-Rex back to its holding cell, and John Hammond's nephew gets his death. It's Dogson's death. I was happy. And so the film basically ends with John Hammond basically saying, just leave these creatures alone. They don't need us. Just let nature take its course. And it gets a beautiful scene of the dinosaurs interacting with each other and showing that they're nurturing creatures. But guys, put in the comments below, what do you think about The Lost World? Do you hate it? If you do, put in the comments below why. If you don't, if you love it, tell me why. I want to know. Share my channel. But I want to thank you all for liking my channel and being here, because it wouldn't be here without you. Well, guys, Jurassic World is coming out soon. I'll be reviewing it. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.